her name. But she had like this, I guess, the situation going on, being the fringe, short fringe, and glasses, and a turtleneck. To complete my look, actually, I could have worn what do you call it? I could have worn my my block heels. I have these other block heels that look exactly like her heels that she wore. It would have been a complete look, trust. But good morning, happy Monday. It's a video log. Woo! I'm actually gonna switch hands and put it on the usual stand because I'm about to get to my intersection, and it's Monday and I'm trying to get to work. So I don't like how the reflection looks on the glasses, and they are, whoa, there's a whole military car behind me. You know, every time I see such things I freak out because we've watched a lot of movies, so it's giving The Mist, it's giving they're going to rescue people. I don't mind me. There's a gnat in the car. I actually need to move up a little. But yeah, happy Monday. How was your Father's Day? Yesterday was Father's Day. How did you spend your day? Oh my gosh, I have my son's toy in my car. So I guess that's going to be a sound that we're going to be hearing. Oh my goodness. So this morning, yesterday I was actually thinking about how I wanted to curl the sides of my fringe, which is, I'd say, my favorite way to wear it. But then this morning when I took out the curling iron, I was like, let me curl there it is. I need to catch it when I get into traffic. Let me just curl the front. So I've done that. I'm not sure how it's working out, but I like it. And I applied a bit of heat protector on it because it gets so frizzy after curling it if you don't apply anything. So that's what I was avoiding. But yeah, today's Monday. It's a cloudy Monday, and this morning we are looking forward to a positive uptake for my August event. We are going to be hosting another workshop this coming August, and I think just to reflect on I'd say the timing of my workshops is that one thing that I've learned, or that I learned even as yay, we got it. Where to put it now? I'll put it here in the tissue box. Yeah, so what I learned, I feel like I have a booger in my nose. I'm gonna pause and yank it. Me telling you that I was gonna take out the booger was TMI, so I apologize. But yeah, these cute blue light cancelling shades I got from Legit. And a funny conversation that my sister and I had was like, she was saying to me that she's the one who started wearing these nerdy glasses, and I'm like, my girl, I am the original. Because I always loved, okay, the backstory is I've always wanted to wear glasses, but my eyes are tinny, so I didn't have the luxury to. So when I got to uni, I bought myself these clear glasses and just wore them around. Like, I'll probably find pictures of that. Knowing me and my editing style lately, I won't put them on this post. So I think maybe possibly on my Instagram page. But I really loved wearing the nerdy glasses as a, if you know me back then from uni, you'll know Gorata always wore nerdy glasses. And if you did, leave a comment in my comment section so my little sister can see I was the OG. But anyways, welcome to today's chat. Today's Monday, and for Monday conversations we're going to be thinking, or the theme or thematic chat for Monday is our mindset And today we're going to be talking about why people give up on their goals by Wednesday. I'm actually just going to check the prompt properly to say it as it is, because I realized I messed up the one for Friday. So it says why most people quit their goals by Wednesday, right? So we're going to speak through 3 points: systems, outcomes versus actions, and motivation versus systems, outcomes versus actions, and I'll check my notes for the third one, right? But in thinking about it, if we were to take someone who I'd say has established a habit of living out their goals, or living out, I'd say the goals that they've set for themselves week by week, this would be applicable to you, right? Because the year begins, you set your goals, and if you were to break it up weekly, that would be you trying to accomplish your goals week by week. So that's 52 weeks in a year. But if you apply the 12-week year methodology, that would be every quarter you have a specific target that you'd want to reach that would feed into the final goal for the end of the year. And we do that in corporate, right? So in corporate, you have Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 performance, and H1 performance that would be used to review your performance, right? And similarly for yourself, as you set your goals, the idea is to then say every week there should be something that you're doing, right? If you're to not make it to the end of the video, the reflection question today would be, what one small action can I take this week that will bring me closer to my goals, right? What's the next small step that I need to take that will help me reach my goal, right? So you answering that question in terms of the week time frame, it's then thinking about it then to say, for this specific goal, am I doing it every day? Am I doing it 3 times a week? So that's frequency. And then when I do it, how long do I do it? So that would be the time measure, right? And also, what am I doing? That would be the specificity of that goal, to say on Monday I am journaling for 5 minutes, on Wednesday I'm journaling for 10 minutes, right? And speaking of, I need to put my journal entry for yesterday. I think I did in the morning. Yeah, but what does that look like for you every week, right? To the point where, and I think when I think about living out my goals week by week, the one thing that I feel is like it's a cheat sheet for you to actually give your brain a break, right? Because when you think about things grand scheme, if I was to say your target is 1 million, right? The million feels impossible if I was to say you need to accomplish it in a month, right? Versus a year, which has 52 weeks, right? So I'd want for you to take time to really think about what you want, and that's the conversation that I feel, God forbid, the time I leave the earth, people will be talking about, to say, Gorata always stress the fact that you need to know what it is you want, right? And be very clear about it. So in building a bit of clarity before we get into the conversation, I'd want for you to answer that question, to say, what do I want, right? So thinking about it from the Wheel of Life perspective, in terms of having, I'd say, a balanced life. So what do you want in terms of your finances? Specify it, right? I want to be a millionaire by 36 in dollars, a millionaire in USD, right? So that's my net worth, and not just cash in my account, right? But that's long term. So if I was to then just speak to that one as an example, I currently turned 31. So I have 5 years, it's a 5-year plan to get to $1 million by 5 years. And if you were to connect, story age is part of that conversation in terms of getting me there, right? And hence why I do the work that I do. It's inbuilt in terms of the bigger conversation of becoming a millionaire by 36. That's $1 million. I can quantify it in Pula. That would be 14 million Pula. It's a lot of money, right? And it feels impossible, but if we were to really break it down and drill it down, it's very possible. So what do you want financially, emotionally? I want to experience joy in my relationships, and when I don't, I step back, right? So relationships, your emotions, which one was it, emotions or relationships, but I guess I spoke to both. But relationships, emotions, your career, your body, what do you want to experience in terms of wellness in your body, right? And for me, I was saying to someone at work that honestly, since I'm still, I guess, postpartum, and in a sense, I haven't had the energy to exercise. And I know that to be true for my experience currently, right? So in saying that to her, I was just sharing how the decision to do intermittent fasting has been such a game changer for me in terms of weight loss, because I get to enjoy the food that I enjoy at the end of the day, right? And I get to lose a little bit of weight throughout the day. Not that I splurge every other day, but it's just a thing of I am losing a tad bit of weight every other day when I do my intermittent fast routine, right? But yeah, so what is it? If you had to leave it in the comment without sharing too much information, please share it in the comments. And I think in thinking about it, sometimes we really think about our once grand scale, like I'm talking about becoming a millionaire. But if you were then to drill it down to then say, oh, okay, well, in terms of that grand scale goal, what is that one small thing that what's the next small step that you need to take that will get you closer to that goal, right? So I guess just taking the opportunity to share, I put out my workshop for the month of August, where I will be facilitating a workshop on emotional intelligence, my favorite topic. So an introduction to emotional intelligence. This will be a journaling and reflection masterclass where we are going to be thinking through emotional intelligence concepts together, but the bigger thing being how what does it mean for you in terms of where you're at, right? I don't know how I feel about this angle with this hair, I don't know. But anyways, yeah, so thinking about emotional intelligence from the perspective of your life and your lived experience, right? So understanding your level of EQ, so doing an assessment with my clients, getting them to understand what EQ is, just the foundation of knowing what it is, self-awareness versus self-regulation, and the conversation for self-awareness that I know top of mind we're going to have for sure is that self-awareness is useless without self-regulation. So knowing that I'm angry versus knowing how to manage my anger, right? Self-regulation, either managing or coping with the anger in the moment where it gets intense is much more important than just being able to know that, oh, I'm angry, So that's the bigger, I'll say the heart of the workshop will really be centered around that. And my hope is that for each and every person who will be in the room, it will be impactful for them, for their businesses, for where they serve in corporate, and so that's the chat. And I think for me, what I've seen in terms of building my business this year is that I have, I'd say, more conviction to make it work. I think ever since I've vocalized the $1 million, but I did have that number when I started the business, but it was just 1 million pula, and I wanted to become a millionaire in pula. But then that's achievable, like it's something that I can achieve in the next year, God willing, So 14 million pula net worth, and not just PNL. So yeah, so going back to our chat, I kind of went in terms of, I'd say, the foundation for our conversation today. So let's get into why people quit their goals by Wednesday together. So the first one is motivation versus, maybe that's why my angle is off, because I was slouchy. So motivation, people rely on motivation instead of systems. So motivation instead of systems, and what that means is you waiting for that extra kick to get you going instead of having a system in place of how you get things done, right? I love social media, and a system that works for me in terms of my socials is planning and scheduling my content, right? So I'm here to do that today. I've obviously put out my introduction to emotional intelligence post today. So it's then thinking about what posts am I going to be putting out for the month, and I'm able to then just schedule them both on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Facebook, and then relax for the rest of the month, right? And the goal there would be building visibility, building engagement in relation to this workshop that's coming up, masterclass. This masterclass that's coming up, right? But yeah, so instead of waiting to feel motivated, and I think personally for me, having or now living through grief, I realized that for certain things you really have to have systems in place, because once life happens, it can actually throw you off your momentum, right? And I think it's just getting to a place where you are able to give yourself grace in terms of what you are able to do and what you aren't able to do, given what you're navigating. But when you have systems in place, your goals don't, I'd say, fizzle out because of what you're living through. I think it's just a matter of giving yourself perspective as you're living through it, going to your support, as I did, going to your support to really touch base in terms of what you're thinking through and what kind of decisions you're trying to make emotionally, for them to kind of just keep you in check, right? So the second thing is outcomes versus actions, right? So obviously we talk about outcome-based decision making. So outcome-based decision making from the perspective of you having an idea of, at the end of the year, I would have wanted to host 6 workshops, right? So far I've done 1. I've put out 3 actually, and done 1 successfully. 2 didn't work out. Okay. So 2 didn't work out the way I thought they would. So at the end of the year, right, when I sit down and reflect on the outcomes, not the goals, the outcomes that I would have wanted to see come out of those specific areas, I'm able to then say, okay, out of 6, I was able to do 3, which is like 50%, not too bad. Sit down and analyze what worked, what didn't work, what can you change, right? Because even from the first workshop, there's certain things that I've learned that led to the success of the workshop, right? So even in thinking about it, I'm redoing the things that worked, and the things that I caught that didn't work, I've applied for this upcoming masterclass, right? Yeah, so in thinking about it in terms of weeks now, is to then say outcomes versus actions, right? So you thinking about the outcome of, I want to do 6 workshops, versus what do I need to do in terms of actions this week, will help you to be able to have momentum in terms of your goals, and also have consistency in terms of your goals, right? So the outcome is good for the year, but for your weeks, it's important to then establish what is the action that I am taking in the coming week. What is the next small step, if I was to link it to the action? But what is the small action that I'm taking this week that will move me closer to the 6, right? If it means sitting down to conceptualize the masterclasses, sitting down to think about who your target market is, etc., whatever it is, you need to then get to a place where in the week, you then schedule it in to say, okay, for me, for this week, these are the actions that I want to take, and this is when I'm going to take them. So like I shared, I need to schedule my content for the month of July. So sitting down, coming up with ideas, with chat, obviously, designing what I need to decide and putting it out, right? And knowing that, okay, then I would have visibility for the month of July, for the month of August, but leading up to the workshop or the masterclass, right? And I'm praying and believing that this one will be more successful because of the space, I'd say, between when I've put it out. And it's a learning that I got. I think the May one I had put out with too little breathing space for people to actually subscribe for the event, right? But now I've given people almost somewhat 3 months, so June pay, July and August, to be able to figure out their finances and figure out if they want to be part of the workshop, right? So it's a learning point in that my next workshop, I'll put it out for, what do you call it? August, September, October. Knowing that my event will be in October, right? So a learning point to give people time to plan their finances as well. But yeah, coming into the last point, I'm just going to pause quickly just to make a call and then I will be back. We're making good time in terms of getting to work. I have my usual Monday call, so I'm going to be preparing for that when I get to the office, and I'm hoping that it will be a good meeting because we are in the last week of the month and the hope is to close as many deals as possible for us to move the dial in terms of our P&L. So yeah, so let me just make a call quickly. I will be back. Actually, at the red light. Back. So in thinking about the last bit of why people quit by Wednesday, is that people expect perfection and quit after setbacks, right? People expect perfection, and once something happens, you just give up. And I feel I am people. I am people, and I'm grateful for the support structures that I have established in my life, because if I didn't have them, I would quit every single time, right? I was giving an example about how after my grandma passed, I had a conversation with my husband about how I want to discontinue creating content for the next few years until I'm settled in myself, or settled in whatever excuse I'd given myself, right? And he said, no, I don't agree. And it's one thing for him to say that, but it's also premised on the fact that when the year began, Gorata said to her support structure, my husband, that creating content gives me joy. So he knew that, wait, if you discontinue this, then and I had actually said to him, I'll find other avenues in terms of finding joy, and he was like, no. But also, even outside of just finding joy in creating content, I think it gives light and I'd say a window to anyone who would want to work with me as their coach, to get a sense of what kind of person I am. And also, when I started creating content, I'd really wanted to create online videos. So still on the wavelength of not online videos, online courses, right? Still on the same wavelength. This is preparing me for that, in a sense. And when I finally get to it, this will help in a very big way, right? So yeah, so I am people also, to that last point, to say that you expect perfection, and you quit after setbacks. I've spoken about setbacks, but in terms of perfection, I've always been the perfectionist, I think, right? I've always wanted things to be perfect before I start them. But interestingly, I think in terms of my business, it's never been the case, because when I registered my company, designed my logo as imperfect as it was, started my programs, and I was thinking about one of the programs I did yesterday. I don't know where it was coming from, but I was thinking about the profiling series that I had done. Oh yeah, it was because I saw the one girl that I had approached for the series at the place that we were having lunch. So that's what triggered it. But in thinking about it, I did those programs profiling women, profiling men, helping them tell their stories, sharing about what Storage does, even before I had the courage to actually start coaching, right? So in thinking about it, even for yourself, I would really want you to unpack what perfection what perfection looks like, right? And actually just, I'd say, allow yourself to just act over and above that perfect picture in terms of you starting what it is you need to start. And obviously this doesn't necessarily mean put out half-baked ideas, but it's a thing of that you will improve on that idea as you go along. There's this idea that I learned in corporate called design thinking, and it's to say that you work on the product and put it out to your customers, right? Even as you're working on other improvements. So you give me, I'd say, the most basic aspect of the product for me to use, for me to enjoy, and even as you're enjoying as a customer, me as a designer, I would add other components that will improve your user experience as we go along, right? So similarly for yourself, I'd want to encourage you to really think about that, to say, Monday, maybe think about the past week, to say the past week came and left, and we're at usually where the sun would come out, but cloudy today. But I'd want for you to think about the past week, to say, did I do anything that's aligned to the bigger outcomes that I have for the year, right? Did I take any actions that are aligned to that? And if the answer is no, I'd want for you to really think about it, to say, oh, but why didn't I start, right? Was it a thing of I was waiting for all the lights to turn green, which will never be the case unless it's that one random day on the Tlokeng road when all the lights turn green for you. So I'd really want for you to interrogate yourself, to say, oh, you know what, Gorata, I actually haven't been doing what I need to be doing. Even for the past 5 years, I've just been stuck in this perfection mindset, and every time something happens, I just quit. Remember that that analogy of the kid who's holding the juice? Morning, Malama. That kid who's holding the juice and spills a bit of the juice, right? And then because they spilled a little bit of that juice, they kind of just tossed all of it in frustration, right? So that's how I think it sometimes feels. That's how it sometimes feels for me, I'll be honest. So you need to be honest with yourself, in like even how you show up for your goals. Is it from a perfectionist mindset, where it's a thing of, if it doesn't happen this particular way, it's not happening, right? And really get to a place where you understand what that particular way is, right? And I think I'm almost done with my chat. For anyone who has been feeling stuck for all of 2026, I want to encourage you to reach out to me, book a discovery call for us to have a conversation. I promise you won't regret it. Book a discovery call today. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Just to sit here, I pray that may God's favor locate you, and may His grace sustain you as you live out this beautiful, rambunctious day. I put some sanitizer in my hand, but we're here. Good morning. I'm gonna find that lady's name. Morning.